Chapter 12:19. How can I not be nervous? Who knows what you are going to do? Donghuang Baiji said angrily. Looking at Wanwan entering the house, Donghuang Baiji remained calm. Wanwan poured 2 cups of tea and placed it on the table, then walked to Yihua's back and asked shyly, Gongzi, do you need Wanwan to give you a massage? Of course, let's see how good Wanwan's cooking is. Don't worry, young master. Wanwan's cooking is very good. Yihua smiled. While holding onto the teacup with his right hand, he didn't drink from it. Donghuang Baiji was so angry that she didn't even have the mood to drink tea. Wanwan, how old are you since you started working in that kind of place? Yihua asked curiously. Wanwan was stunned and said with disappointment, does young master dislike Wanwan working in that kind of place? A little. Wanwan, you still haven't answered my question just now. Yihua said lightly. Gongzi, when I was 8 years old, I was sold to a brothel. Yihua let out a deep sigh. What a miserable story. Baiji, what do you think? Humph. Donghuang Baiji snorted. Young master, this is not a story. That's right, if this is really a story, then it would be a bit too old-fashioned. Yihua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. Wanwan, why did you choose me? Yihua asked again. Hearing that, Donghuang Baiji went into a daze for a moment, then became vigilant. Young master, do you believe in fate? Of course I believe in fate. Then, it must definitely be fate that brought us together. Wanwan smiled tenderly, and her slender fingers placed onto Yihua's body and lightly rubbed onto his body. This made Donghuang Baiji very unhappy. Yihua smiled and said, Wanwan, your relationship with that plump woman is very good, right? Yes, she is very nice to me. Wanwan, after massaging for so long, you should be tired, come and drink some water. Yihua passed the teacup to Wanwan. Wanwan said respectfully, young master, I'm not thirsty. Young master, please drink. How can that do? Be obedient, Wanwan. Yihua said faintly. Young master, there's really no need, Wanwan said in a low voice. Yihua could only place the teacup on the table and said helplessly, Wanwan, you are in cahoots with that obesan, right? Young master. Wanwan asked in confusion. Your trick is a little outdated. I brought a woman to a brothel, which is a taboo in a brothel. It's strange that the obesan didn't say anything. And you, of all people, you chose me. Although I am handsome, you are too arrogant. Do you see this woman? You actually chose me. Don't you feel ashamed? Or did that obesan tell you about it? Hearing that, Donghuang Baiji went into a daze. What is going on? Yihua gave Donghuang Baiji a look. Woman, it's just that your hair is long but your knowledge is short. You can't even see through such a trick. You just have to remember one thing, the heavens will not drop a pie, even if it is going to drop, it will not hit you. If it hits you, then you will die. Young master, what are you talking about? Even I am confused. Wanwan's face was filled with confusion. Yihua picked up the teacup, drink it. Young master. I'll let you drink. Drink it. Yihua retracted his smile and said gravely. Wanwan's expression gradually became grave, and she put down her hands from Yihua's shoulders. How did you discover me? Wanwan asked coldly. Yihua blinked his eyes towards Donghuang Baiji, then said with a smile, I was just speaking nonsense, I didn't expect that it would actually be true. Wanwan, you tricked me. Wanwan's palm turned into a dagger and pierced towards Yihua's head. However, when the dagger was just a centimeter away from Yihua's head, it stopped. Speak, who is the person behind this meticulous scheme of yours? Yihua asked gravely. Although it was just a guess, he was still curious as to who was the one behind this. I just arrived here, and I was already discovered by someone, and there is even an ambush waiting for me. It's just that this person is a bit stupid to actually use a honey trap. Doesn't he know that the women around me are all extremely beautiful? Furthermore, I don't like women who don't have any personality at all. I am completely not interested in women who throw themselves into my arms. Yi Hua looked just like a skeleton. Wan Wan revealed out a malicious gaze, but she didn't say anything. Yi Hua stood up, then turned his head around and looked at Wan Wan, then lightly caressed her head. I think, you should know Wei Chang, right? I don't know him. Women usually speak in reverse, you should know him. Wan Wan, Donghuang Baiji was very speechless. Yi Hua is truly a scoundrel. However, this Wan Wan is actually a spy, and furthermore, she is already lying in ambush in the brothel, waiting for Yi Hua to fall into her trap. Yi Hua said faintly, Wei Chang is a smart person, he definitely wouldn't use such a method to deal with me. It must be someone else, right? To think that using such a method would be enough, you really don't understand me. Yi Hua was also speaking nonsense. Who asked this woman to be stupid, to be able to use such a small method to deal with me? She is truly too naive. She is even more naive than me, who is an undead. Bullshit, Lord Ming is both brave and courageous, who does he think he is? Hearing that, Yi Hua went into a daze, and even Donghuang Baiji went into a daze. Wei Chang is really here. Yi Hua laughed, Wan Wan, don't be angry, let's have a good chat. This Lord Ming is your superior, right? Furthermore, you seem to like him a lot. At this moment, Wan Wan's face really turned red. However, very quickly, she said with a straight face, no. Lord Ming is so outstanding, I and the others can only look up to Lord Ming's back view. Alright, this is just a little fangirl, the kind that has already been brainwashed. However, she is a little silly. Oh right, do you know Wei Chang? What ability does that man have to actually be fancied by the palace master, to actually be able to suppress Lord Ming? From what I see, the palace master's heart must be muddled. Yi Hua, this Wan Wan is too awesome, to actually dare to insult the palace master behind his back. This palace master is truly pitiful, his heart is muddled. Seems like Wei Chang's position is very high right now, this is a bit troublesome. In actuality, Wei Chang and I are opponents, the reason why I came here this time is to find him. And then kill him. Can you help me find him? As long as I kill Wei Chang, your Lord Ming will return back to his original identity. Yi Hua said gravely. Wan Wan didn't say anything, and after a while, she said, for Lord Ming, I am willing to do anything. Courageous, for Lord Ming to have a subordinate like you, he would be very honored. Of course. Wan Wan said proudly. Donghuang Baiji was a bit stupefied. Yi Hua only said a few sentences, and this Wan Wan, my god, is she so gullible? This Wan Wan must be a newbie, right? Wan Wan, what is your sect called? Yi Hua asked curiously. Take a guess. Chapter 12:20. Yi Hua, Donghuang Baiji, damn, this Wan Wan. Is she really a normal person? Why did she have to be sent to carry out such a difficult mission? It is too dangerous. How would mere mortals like you know? Listen up. Indestructible Shrine. The most powerful existence in the entire 9 provinces and 5 seas, even if it is that big aristocrat, they are not our opponent. While speaking, Wan Wan's face was filled with worship. Yi Hua shook his head. I originally thought that it would be difficult, but in the end, this indestructible shrine was sold out by a little girl. Sigh. When your boss dies, I will tell him that this girl is not bad. It sounds very powerful. Yi Hua said in a low voice. Of course. Where is your indestructible shrine? I won't tell you. Wan went into a daze for a moment, then hurriedly changed her words. Yihua's expression stiffened. You also don't know. I. Who says that I don't know? Wait till I complete this mission, I will know. Yihua, my God, it turns out that this girl still doesn't know. Yihua asked curiously, then, what is your mission this time? This is a very confidential mission, how can I tell you? Yihua laughed, since you have already said so much, it doesn't matter if you say more. Wan thought about it and agreed, I seem to have said a lot just now. My mission is actually very simple, it is to follow by your side and report to me at any time. Yihua nodded his head and removed the seal that was placed on Wan's body. You? Wan, how about we make a deal? Yihua smiled. Wan snorted, my immortal divine palace's people are not afraid of death, even if you put a knife on my neck. Even if you put a knife on my neck, I, Wan, will not cooperate with you. Clang! A sharp knife was placed on Wan's neck. Wan's gaze became deep. How do we cooperate? Yihua, Donghuang Baiji, I have never seen such an unprofessional person, can't you at least resist a little? How about we cooperate, you continue to hide by my side and pretend that you don't know anything. Yihua said faintly. You want to kill Wei Chang? Yes, after killing Wei Chang, your Lord Ming is already relaxed, isn't it? Wan nodded and felt that there was nothing wrong with what he said. Sure. Wan said very earnestly. This caused both Yihua and Donghuang Baiji to feel like laughing. Wan is truly a newbie. Right, your contact person should be that obeson, right? Yihua asked faintly. Yes. Then shouldn't you report your safety now? Wan was confused. How do I tell them I'm safe? Yihua Dong and Huang Baiji were speechless. Just who taught you? In fact, Wan didn't have anyone to teach her. Lord Ming thought that the more ordinary someone was, the more real they were. In the end, she was tricked. How are you going to report the mission? Someone will contact me when the time comes. I see. Yihua nodded his head. Wan stood at the side gloomily, thinking that her mission had been discovered by the enemy. Looks like I didn't hide it well enough. Fortunately, I should be able to help Lord Ming this time and make up for my mistakes. Baiji, what are we going to do first? Yihua asked curiously. Up to you, you can go and do whatever you think is the easiest. Outside, Donghuang Baiji still listened to Yihua. Yihua nodded his head, then, let's make a trip to the Wei Sea first and deal with the Eastern Emperor family first. What? You guys are going to the Wei Sea? Deal with the Eastern Emperor family. Wan shouted out in surprise. This woman said that dealing with the Eastern Emperor family is the easiest, but this man actually said that he is going to deal with the Eastern Emperor family. Could it be that the Eastern Emperor family is the easiest in their hearts? They are definitely crazy, I am not going to be crazy along with them. They are simply going to throw their lives away. What's wrong? Can't I? Yihua asked faintly. Of course not. The Eastern Emperor family is very powerful, if you guys go and deal with the Eastern Emperor family, you guys will definitely die. I won't be accompanying you guys. Wan wouldn't go to that kind of place even if she was beaten to death. That won't do, you have to lead the way for us. I won't go, I still have to serve Lord Ming. Wan said solemnly, giving off an attitude of, if you guys want to go and seek death, I won't accompany you guys. Yihua smiled, think about it, if you help your Lord Ming get rid of the Eastern Emperor family, wouldn't Lord Ming value you a lot? At that time, he might even favor you a lot. This man's words are a bit reasonable. If I were to get rid of the Eastern Emperor family, Lord Ming would definitely let me stay by Lord Ming's side and serve him. Alright then. Isn't this answer a bit too fast? Yihua and Donghuang Baiji were very curious. Just what is this child's brain thinking? Alright, we are currently in Ding province, how are we going to get to the Wei Sea? Yihua asked curiously. In actuality, since we are already here, we only need to teleport to the Wei Sea. However, since I promised to go on a trip with Baiji, no matter what, I have to take a look around. That's right, I just remembered, in a few months' time, there will be a huge gathering at Tang Province's Tian Shan Mountain. At that time, heroes from all over will be gathering there, and the scene will be rather lively. Alright, Wan still doesn't want to go and seek death, thus she can only drag it on. What you mean to say is that the Eastern Emperor family will be going there too? Of course, there is also the one who just became a god, deity Mengyao, who will be attending the gathering too. Speaking of deity Mengyao, Wan's face was filled with adoration. Yihua felt that this should be a huge gathering. Chapter 12:21. However, what Yihua didn't expect was that Qing Su was actually here, and furthermore, he was even currently in the brothel. However, Qing Su wasn't doing anything bad. Instead, he was talking to the obeson, who had a dumbfounded look on his face. Indestructible shrine. Ha! Just now, Qing Su felt that this obasang was a bit strange, and so he decided to ponder about it for a bit. As expected, there is a problem with this obasang. To actually be from Indestructible Shrine, what kind of person is he, to actually dare to take such an arrogant name? Qing Su's fat face was filled with disdain. Indestructible Shrine. Do you have any large-scale events here? Qing Su asked indifferently. Beside him was a dumbfounded Do Fusher. To Qing Su, floating battle was still too weak, and he was currently looking for things to make floating battle even stronger. However, the required materials could only be found here, and he had no idea where to start, so he could only ask around. If he wanted to find out more information, he would naturally have to look for large-scale events. There would be a lot of information there. Obasang said with a dumbfounded expression, yes, there is. Tian Shan Cauldron Contest will be held in Tangzhou. At that time, heroes from all walks of life will attend. When Qing Su heard this, he felt that it was interesting. Tian Shan Cauldron Aspirations. This name sounded quite domineering. He just didn't know if it would have what he was looking for. Qing Su waved his hand, and Obasan walked out in a daze. He stood there for a long time before he came back to his senses. However, he didn't know what he was doing. With doubts, Obasan put on a professional smile and entertained the customers. The Qingshu will smiled and said, "Little Daodu, let's go to Mount Heavenly Cauldron and gain some experience." Do Fusher nodded numbly. On the other side, Yihua was also preparing to head to Tang Province. However, this Tian Shan Mountain Tripod competition still needed to wait for more than a month. This caused Yihua to be a bit vexed. Where am I supposed to go during this 1 month? He could only accompany the Empress to have a good stroll. Of course, there was also a burden, Wan, by his side. This caused the Empress to be slightly unhappy. After all, it was a world of the two of them, and the sudden addition of a third will was still very displeasing. Moreover, this Wan was simply a chatterbox. If you didn't talk to her, she could talk on her own for an entire day. Donghuang Baiji couldn't hold it in any longer. Yihua felt that this Wan was rather interesting. To be able to converse with me for an entire day, she is simply invincible. Right now, Yihua and the others had already arrived at Tang Province. However, what Yihua didn't expect was that this Tang Province was actually smaller than Ding Province. The capital city was not as grand as the Ding Province. It felt similar to the Kangluo continent. However, the air in the Tang Province was very fresh, and it contained rich spiritual qi. People said that if you wanted to cultivate, you should go to the Tang Province. If you wanted to live a luxurious life, you should go to the Ding province. The air here is truly too good. Donghuang Baiji shouted out happily. While running, Donghuang Baiji really did not care about her image at all. Yihua sighed helplessly. Fortunately, there isn't anyone in the surroundings. If there was someone who saw the Empress's little daughter acting like this, I would have no choice but to silence them. Wanwan said proudly, of course, the Tang province has produced the most exalted gods. Even exalted goddess Mengyao lives in the Tang province. Speaking of Mengyao, Yihua and Donghuang Baiji immediately thought of Yi. He was also a well-known existence here. I really didn't expect this. Wanwan, why haven't we seen any towns after walking for so long? Yihua asked curiously. Young Master Yi, there aren't many towns in the Tang province, there are only sects and so on. Because the Tang province is a province that mainly focuses on cultivation, not many people are willing to waste their time there. Looking at the boundless grassland and the mountains on the horizon, Yihua's mood was pretty good. Humans, when it's appropriate, it's still better to come out for a vacation to relax and disperse the haze in one's heart. How far are we from the heavenly mountain? Yihua asked faintly. It's still quite a distance, I guess. In any case, we just have to walk towards those mountains. Wanwan only knew this much. Yihua nodded his head. I hope that I will be able to bump into Qing Su this time. That would be perfect. I have already formulated a complete set of rules for Qing Su, and I guarantee that I will let Qing Su know what it means to be a boss. Since I was able to deal with you in the past, I will be able to deal with you today as well. If not, how am I supposed to be your boss? And that Wei Chang, I am really looking forward to it. It has already been a very long time since I exercised my muscles and bones. I hope that the two of you can give me some strength and not disappoint me. Just as Yihua was daydreaming and beating up his subordinates, a black figure suddenly descended from the sky and directly smashed onto the ground not far away from him. If I had walked a bit faster just now, that black figure would have directly smashed onto my head. This black figure is definitely a high-level scamming technique. Look, there are people coming. Along with the corpse falling onto the ground, another two people descended onto the ground. The two people looked at the corpse, then looked at Yihua, then shouted out gravely, "You killed someone." Yihua didn't expect that the two people were really scamming. Speaking of which, scamming is the same no matter where it is. Hand over the treasures that you have on you and the woman beside you, and we brothers can spare your life. Yihua stretched out his right hand and snapped his fingers while the two people were puzzled. Afterward, Yihua continued walking forward as if nothing had happened. Wanwan was very puzzled. These two people look quite formidable, why are they standing there stupidly? Then, Wanwan stretched out her hand and waved it in front of their eyes. There is no reaction at all. Wanwan hurriedly followed after Yihua. Yihua, who are those two people? Donghuang Baiji finally returned and asked curiously. They are scammers, I made them scammers forever. Yihua said faintly. This kind of person, I should teach him a good lesson. No matter what you do, don't try to blackmail me. Even if you take out two mountain-splitting axes and stand in front of me and shout that you are robbing me, I will still have to admire your courage. But, scammers, I will look down on you. Donghuang Baiji turned her head around and took a look, but did not say anything. Wanwan, does this kind of situation happen often? Yihua asked faintly. I'm not sure either, this is my first time coming to Tang City. This place sure isn't safe. Donghuang Baiji mumbled. Hearing that, Yihua laughed, just who is the one that isn't safe here? Donghuang Baiji went into a daze for a moment, then soon after, she laughed. The three people continued walking forward. A few hours later, a figure could be seen. The figure was big on the top and small on the bottom. If one were to observe carefully, one would find that there were actually two people carrying a person. These two people were naturally Ching Su and Do Fusher. Looking at the three people in front of him, Ching Su was a bit puzzled. Put me down. Do Fusher respectfully squatted down, and Ching Su walked forward to inspect the person. Ching Su's brows slightly wrinkled as he mumbled, "This is an expert, this is definitely an expert." Do Fusher did not say anything, he was just like a robot. On the other hand, Ching Su was very surprised, to be able to kill someone without using any techniques. I admire this. Do Fusher remained silent. This person's strength is probably on par with mine. Ching Su was very arrogant and started bragging. Chapter 12:22. Right at this moment, 4 to 5 people descended from the sky and surrounded Ching Su and the others. Judging from their attire, they should be from the same group. "Audacious, you actually dared to kill our people, do you want to die?" The man in the lead shouted and pulled out the blades in his hands. Ching Su touched his head and said, "What do you guys want to do?" "What do we want to do? You killed our people, and you still ask us what we want to do. Kill them. Kill." Ching Su shook his head. "I actually took the blame. Little Dodo, I will leave this to you." Ching Su didn't want to pay attention to these people and directly walked forward. "Audacious. You actually dare to look down on us." A sharp sword could be seen piercing towards Ching Su's throat, but right at this moment, a big hand grabbed onto the sword's blade. The thumb lightly pressed down. A crisp sound rang out. The sharp sword broke, and Ching Su continued walking forward as if nothing had happened. Do Fusher's gaze turned cold. He grabbed onto the broken sword's blade and directly stabbed it into the man's forehead, instantly killing a man. Ching Su put his hands together, appearing to be very sincere. A few screams sounded out behind him, and then everything became quiet. "We are still too slow, what should we think of?" Ching Su muttered. Do Fusher returned to Ching Su's back and didn't say anything. In the misty land of Tang Province, Meng Yao stood beside the window and looked into the distance while opening the handkerchief in her hand. The lollipop had already become very small, and Meng Yao couldn't help but hold it in her mouth and let out a sigh of relief. Meng Yao. Meng Yao kept the lollipop in her mouth and slowly turned around. "Meng Li, what's the matter?" "Tian Shan Cauldron Ascension is about to begin, you should be prepared." Meng Li discovered that Meng Yao was very strange recently. Meng Yao would often stand here and stare blankly. Meng Yao sighed, "I don't want to go anymore, you can go in my place." "Meng Yao, Tian Shan Cauldron Ascension is a big matter of our Tang Province, and as the only god of Tang Province, you should go and show the prestige of our Tang Province." Meng Li softly persuaded. "Prestige, everyone in the 9 provinces and 5 seas knows that I am the only female god, what prestige do I still need to show?" "Meng Yao, it's all in the past. Are you still thinking about it?" "It's not good for your cultivation," Meng Li said directly, not afraid of offending her. Meng Yao slowly closed her eyes. A person she didn't want to see appeared in front of her. The more she didn't want to see him, the clearer the figure became. It was like a nightmare. "I know," Meng Yao said in a low voice. Meng Li advised, "Meng Yao, if you go on like this, something bad will happen. You have to stabilize exalted deity's power now. Don't waste all your previous efforts. Don't make the same mistake again." Meng Yao nodded her head, expressing that she understood, but to really do it, it's so hard, really so hard. Right now, I am finally able to experience my master situation. Love tribulations, it really is the most formidable tribulations, and only men who are heartless are able to get through it. Women, Meng Yao, the main reason why we're here is to congratulate you. You need to rest up. "Alright, go get some rest," Meng Yao said in a low voice, then sat down on the straw mat. Meng Li left with a peace of mind. However, after Meng Li left, Meng Yao opened her eyes, took out a lollipop and put it in her mouth. He exhaled slightly. A month's time passed by very quickly. Yihua had already arrived at the foot of the legendary Heavenly Mountain. At the foot of the Heavenly Mountain, there was a surging river, and the entire mountain was just like a lone island that soared into the clouds. Yihua felt that, bad review. They don't even have a place to stay, and they are still here at Heavenly Mountain. They are just a bunch of people who have nothing better to do. Whatever sect, whatever family, all of them are bragging to the heavens. I am not here to listen to you guys bragging, I am here to look for Qing Su. At the foot of the mountain, there were various sects and clans that were setting up their tents and visiting each other. However, Yihua was currently looking for Qing Su's figure. After looking around for a while, he still couldn't find Qing Su. This made Yihua feel that Qing Su wasn't coming. Did you see that fatty Qing Su? Yihua asked faintly. Dong Wang Baiji was also helping to look for Qing Su, but she wasn't able to find him, and instead, she found a bunch of trouble. Behind Dong Wang Baiji were a few youngsters, and from a single look, one could tell that they were disciples from some big sect. Their expressions were very arrogant, as if their father was the supreme overlord, and they could do whatever they wanted. I didn't manage to find him. Dong Wang Baiji said helplessly. Who asked me to be so beautiful? I have brought trouble for Yihua again. At this moment, Wan Wan also returned, and similarly, there were a few youngsters following behind her. The corner of Yihua's mouth twitched slightly. I told you guys to look for Qing Su, but in the end, you guys came back with a tail. Don't you know that I hate dealing with this kind of thing? And I already hate this kind of way of acting cool, it's not cool at all. Young lady, I am a disciple of Jiang family, nice to meet you. One of the youngsters said with a smile. Young lady, I am a disciple of Eastern Imperial family, can I walk with you? Young lady, I am, as expected, they were all from prestigious families. Even their target, the Donghuang clan, had come. Donghuang Baiji and Wan Wan didn't say anything and directly stood behind Yihua. Yihua suddenly felt like calling his subordinates over. I really don't want to make a move on these small fries, they are simply wasting my stamina. What are you guys doing? Suddenly, a voice rang out. Donghuang Qingru could be seen walking over slowly, and then, she was stunned. Yihua and Donghuang Baiji were also stunned. This is too much of a coincidence, right? The world is so big, and we actually met each other so quickly. Donghuang Qingru didn't know what to do. The floor manager told me to keep this a secret, and yet, these two people actually came over. I'm finished, Lord Qingru, this woman, shut up. Scram! Donghuang Qingru shouted out angrily. Everyone noticed Donghuang Qingru's strange behavior and felt very astonished. Could it be that this woman wants to monopolize this place? Donghuang Qingru, this isn't good, right? Do you want to monopolize this place? That's right, after chasing away the disciple, you want to monopolize this place. What a bad idea. Eastern Imperial family is only like this, that's all. Donghuang Qingru didn't know what to say. From what the floor manager said, this is the Eastern Imperial family scandal, how can I possibly let others know about it? Yihua crooked his finger towards Donghuang Baiji. Such a frivolous action, if it was in the past, Donghuang Qingru would have flipped out long ago. However, I don't dare to do that now, this man is very scary. Donghuang Qingru pretended to be very tsundere and walked in front of Yihua. Since we have already met, when this matter ends, let's go to your family together. Yihua said faintly. However, Wan Wan who was at the side immediately said, I won't be going. Hee. Yihua expressed that it was impossible. Wan Wan didn't understand. Do you think that the Eastern Imperial family is your backyard? that you can just go there whenever you want. Don't you know that it is very scary? Dongguang Qingru was already a bit frightened. If I were to bring them over, and if they were to investigate this matter, I would have to bear a huge responsibility. Chapter 12:23. If I don't bring him along, this man will definitely kill me. Since I'm going to die either way, I can only admit defeat. Who asked him to be so strong? I have no choice but to lower my head. Is there no boss coming? Yihua asked curiously and changed the topic. Dongguang Qingru nodded her head. Yes, the main purpose of this Tianshan Mountain competition is to congratulate Goddess Mangyao. Normally, family heads would only bring their regards. Just bring. Isn't this the same as looking down on that Goddess Mangyao? Yihua said faintly. The boss actually doesn't go out and let his underling bring him along. If this isn't looking down on her, then what is it? Dongguang Qingru didn't know how to explain it. This is just a matter of tradition. Would all the other gods have to come and congratulate a newly ascended god? Wouldn't that be very embarrassing? Furthermore, it's a woman. To be able to bring a gift is already a sign that they like her. At this moment, a colorful cloud flew over with a strong aura. Everyone couldn't help but look over, and their gazes were filled with respect. Could this be? The colorful cloud descended and a beautiful figure appeared. Everyone was stunned by the woman in front of them. They immediately cupped their hands and shouted, "Greetings to Goddess Mangyao." The person who came was naturally Mangyao. To be honest, she didn't want to come, but she had to. However, when she saw Yihua, she felt a little weird. When she saw Dongguang Baiji behind Yihua, she knew that it was her. It's the emperor, not him. Everyone, you have worked hard. The gate of Tianshan Mountain has already opened, you can all go up now. Meng Yao said gently. Actually, this Tianshan Mountain competition was a cultivation convention. Above Tianshan Mountain, there was dense spiritual energy. Gods wouldn't care about spiritual energy, but these disciples valued it. Training here for 7 days was equivalent to training outside for 700 days. To them, 700 years wasn't much, but it would be hard for them to get through it. Now that there was a chance, they naturally wouldn't let it go. Beauties were just fleeting clouds, it was more important to increase one's strength. Even Dongguang Qingru fought hard to get this spot. I'll go up first. Dongguang Qingru said softly. Yihua waved his hand. He didn't expect this Tianshan Mountain competition to be so boring. The only expert was Meng Yao. Even now, she was not sure if that bastard Qing Su would come. After everyone ascended the heavenly mountain, Yihua looked at Meng Yao and said faintly, "To think that I would be able to meet her here." "Yeah, what a coincidence," Meng Yao muttered. "You mistook me as Xiao Tian just now, right?" Yihua couldn't help but say. In actuality, it could be seen that Meng Yao was a bit disappointed just now. This little brother of his was actually able to make an exalted god worry about him. Not bad, he was quite capable. That's more like my younger brother, a man who can do great things. Wan Wan was dumbfounded. She never expected them to know each other. How was that possible? How did they know each other? It seemed like they were very familiar with each other. No, Meng Yao said softly. Yihua let out a long sigh, and his tone was filled with regret. Dongguang Baiji immediately knew what Yihua was going to do. Meng Yao frowned slightly, not understanding what he meant. Meng Yao, I'm afraid that you won't be able to see little Tian anymore in the future. Yihua appeared to be incomparably regretful, making it seem as if Yi Juetian had already died. At least, that was what Meng Yao thought, but she was too embarrassed to ask. Could it be that something happened to him? That shouldn't be possible, he has such a powerful big brother, no matter what, nothing should happen to him. Yihua didn't say anything else and stood with his hands behind his back. Although you are a god, you are still a woman. I am very experienced, I don't believe that you won't ask. Let's see who can hold back. Dong Huang Baiji poked Yihua. You are about the same. Other people indeed want to know, but they are too embarrassed to ask. Wanwan felt that it would be better for her to stay further away from Yihua, in case he killed her to silence her if she knew too much. After Wanwan left, Mengyao really asked Yihua. What's wrong? Yihua was secretly delighted. Seems like this god Mengyao is still worried about Xiao Tian, this is truly not easy. However, speaking of which, I was the one who tried to tear them apart in the past, so this time, I will properly play the matchmaker. Whether or not they will be able to succeed, it all depends on whether or not they are fated to be together. 9 deaths and 1 lives. Yihua said faintly. As expected, after hearing Yihua say that 9 deaths and 1 lives, Meng Yao's brows tightly wrinkled, appearing to be very heavy. Her emotions were also very complicated. What do you mean? Meng Yao asked. Yihua shook his head. Meng Yao, Xiao Tian knows that he is guilty, so he went to a very dangerous place. I tried to stop him again and again, but it was to no avail. It was as if he was sending himself to death. Perhaps, this is a kind of release. In the future, you will be able to be at ease. After all, this is just a calamity, don't take it to heart. Yihua said gravely. Although it seemed like he was tearing apart Meng Yao, in actuality, he was just playing the matchmaker. Dong Huang Baiji felt very helpless. This moon elder has become a moon elder again. Meng Yao said gravely, indeed, this is just a calamity, I won't take it to heart. What the f*ck, is this not a normal path? Shouldn't I be asking about it? Right, let me tell you a secret. Yihua couldn't help but say. He decided to scam his little brother. Dong Huang Baiji was very curious. What is Yihua going to tell me? Meng Yao was very curious about this secret. Didn't I give you a jade slip last time? However, the corresponding one is not with me anymore, it is with little Tian. I told him that you will be in trouble, and he will go and train without saying a word. When the time comes, I hope that he will be able to help you. However, little Tian will pretend to be me and help you. Dong Huang Baiji was incomparably shocked. This person actually sold out little Tian just like that. Is this really a good thing? Yihua continued, if you want to see him, then just crush the jade slip. If you don't want to see him, then forget about it. However, I will definitely do what I promised you. You can keep this jade slip, you can choose which one you want to crush. Yihua gave another jade slip to Meng Yao, it could be counted as a kind of apology. Meng Yao took the jade slip and said in a low voice, thank you. No need. Then, I won't be accompanying you all anymore, I have to go and give a lecture. Meng Yao said in a low voice. After all, this Tian Shan Mountain Ascension competition was still going on, and according to convention, I, the god, have to go and impart some of my experiences. This is the Tian Shan Mountain Ascension competition. Even Yihua was misled by Wanwan. And here I thought that it was going to be some grand martial arts competition. To Yihua, this was just a small show, but to others, with a god's guidance, it would be much easier for them. After Meng Yao left, Yihua lit up a stick of cigarette. Chapter 12:24. Yihua, do you think that Meng Yao will look for little Tian? Dong Huang Baiji asked curiously. Yihua shook his head, at the very least, it won't happen in a short period of time. Perhaps it won't happen in this lifetime. For something like fate, if it truly exists, it will definitely not be broken. You actually have such an epiphany. How fake. I still have my own views on the matters between a man and a woman. Yihua expressed that he was already an experienced person, and he was completely able to act arrogantly. Dong Huang Baiji clicked her tongue. You really know how to boast. Alright, you don't have to smoke anymore. These few days, you have been addicted to smoking. Dong Huang Baiji snatched away the cigarette from Yihua's hand, then threw it away. Yihua smiled. Let's go, we should also go up and listen to the discussion and broaden our horizons. Since he had to wait for Dong Huang Qingru, he decided to go up and listen. The mountain looked very tall, but there was still a teleportation formation at the bottom. It was really for lazy people. After passing through the teleportation formation, a huge compass appeared in front of them. The sky was black and dotted with stars. It was a very romantic scene. At the very least, Dong Huang Baiji felt that it was very romantic. This kind of starry sky was truly rarely seen. Even Wan Wan was captivated. She fantasized about sitting here with Lord Ming and staying together forever. How wonderful would that be? Everyone was sitting cross-legged around the compass. Meng Yao was sitting in the center, talking about the Great Tao. Yihua directly ignored it. This kind of thing is only useful to trick little kids. Can these people understand the Great Tao that you, a god, are talking about? That does not exist. Fortunately, now that everyone was gathered together, it would be easier to find them. After all, with Qing Su's size, if he was really here, he would definitely be able to see it. Yihua took a glance, and the corner of his mouth arced up as he walked towards the left side. Dong Huang Baiji hurriedly followed after Dong Huang Baiji. Wan Wan, who was at the side, had yet to come back to her senses and was currently engrossed in looking at the starry sky. Yihua did indeed see an enormous figure, and that iconic moment. It was truly hard for me to find it. Qing Su, I didn't expect that I understood you so well. I reckon that you are also cursing me in your heart, right? He was even caught by the Supreme Overlord. How tragic. Yihua directly sat cross-legged beside Qing Su. Dong Huang Baiji had never seen Qing Su before, but she had seen Do Fusher before. Do Fusher was also coiled up to the side. At this time, Qing Su's eyes were closed. He rotated the Buddhist beads in his hand and slowly said, "Benefactor, you're really persistent." Qing Su, stop pretending. Yihua said faintly. Qing Su opened his eyes, but they were still aslit. Benefactor, what exactly do you want? I want to hit you. Yihua said very straightforwardly. If this fellow doesn't hit me, I will feel very apologetic in my heart. He glanced at Do Fusher, who had been turned into a fool by Qing Su. He didn't know if he could turn back. Qing Su heaved a sigh of relief. Benefactor, there are many people who want to kill me, but none of them have succeeded. That's right, no one is able to succeed, but I, the Supreme Overlord, am not a human. Yihua said gravely. These words stunned Qing Su. Are you a transvestite? Dong Huang Baiji, who was at the back. Why do I feel that all of Yihua's subordinates are a little, Chinibu? Today, no matter what, I will beat you awake. If I can't wake you up, then I will keep beating you. I'll beat you until you wake up. Benefactor, I know that you are very powerful. However, I am not bad myself. If the two of us were to fight, I fear that these people would not be so lucky, Qing Su said coolly. He simply did not care about these people, treating them as though they were ants. So, fighting is usually done by commoners and bastards. How about we play something a little more powerful? Qing Su suggested. Yihua didn't even think too much and said straightforwardly, sure, how do you want to play? How about we each send one person to represent us in the battle? Yihua knew what Qing Su was thinking about. So, it's still the same old trick as before. The reason why Qing Su wanted to make the world of solitude stronger was because he was experimenting. He felt a sense of accomplishment towards the world of solitude. After all, he had created it himself. Therefore, using something that he had created to participate in the battle would give him face even if he won. He was also quite confident in his floating battle. Sure. Yihua naturally wouldn't back down. Since you, Qing Su, are able to make others stronger, I, the Supreme Overlord, am naturally able to make others stronger as well. Qing Su, your biggest weakness is that you underestimate my strength, and this kind of underestimation is fatal. Little Dodo, Qing Su calmly called. Do Fusher opened his eyes, and his dark purple pupils deepened. Yes. Floating World's voice made the surrounding people very unhappy. You're sick. Don't you know how to be quiet? That's right, to be so arrogant in front of High God Mengyao. Which sect or sect are you from? State your name. You are simply lacking in quality. How did this kind of person manage to sneak in? Qing Su scratched his eyebrows. Just when he was about to curse at Do Fusher, he grabbed onto his own neck, let out a deep roar, and rolled his eyes upwards. In just 2 breaths of time, his head tilted and he fell onto the ground. Even his primordial spirit didn't have the chance to jump out, he was instantly killed. One must know that all of the people present were all formidable existences, and any one of them would be an unparalleled existence in the gods' realm. But just now, all of them were instantly killed by Qing Su. Most probably, they wouldn't even know how they died. Following the collapse of those people, everyone stood up and looked at the scene with a heavy gaze, not knowing what had happened. At this moment, Mengyao opened her eyes and looked at Yihua with her eyebrows tightly knitted. In the history of Heaven Mountain Ascension Tournament, there had never been a case where someone died. After all, this was just a lecture. Yihua didn't care about the life and death of those people. After all, Qing Su was more important. Don't make a ruckus, you all go and listen to your lecture. We will do our own thing, we will mind our own business. If you disturb me again, the consequences will be the same as them. Qing Su said coldly. He directly laid his cards on the table. You trash are annoying me, you all are just like flies buzzing around my ears. Mengyao looked at Yihua, seemingly asking, is this person your friend? Yihua gave a look that said, you don't have to care about this fellow. You can't care about this fellow either. I have to use my strength to deal with him. Donghuang Baiji didn't expect Qing Su to be so abnormal. Everyone shut up. Qing Su's aura is very strong, we can't act rashly now, let's wait and see what happens first. After all, Goddess Mengyao hasn't even made a move yet. Since someone from Heaven Mountain Ascension Tournament died, you, as Goddess Mengyao, should take care of this matter too, right? However, just as Mengyao wanted to take care of this matter, she was stopped by Yihua. Benefactor, you should send someone else, the woman behind you is not good enough. Qing Su added. Seems like he knew that Donghuang Baiji's strength was definitely stronger than Do Fusher's. Yihua said faintly, don't worry, I will send the weakest person to fight. I am looking forward to it. What Qing Su said wasn't a lie. Right now, everyone was listening to the conversation between Yihua and Qing Su, they weren't listening to anything else. Chapter 12:25. Mengyao was the same. Just what were they doing? Donghuang Qingru was also very puzzled. Are they going to send the weakest one? Why did they fight? Yihua shouted, Donghuang Qingru. Donghuang, who was sitting cross-legged not far away, responded softly. Everyone looked at Donghuang Qingru, as if they were saying, so you are the weakest existence that he mentioned. Donghuang Qingru was very puzzled. How did I become the weakest? In actuality, Yihua didn't know anyone else and only knew this one person. Donghuang asked weakly, what's the matter? Stand up. Donghuang Qingru felt very sullen. Do I have to stand up just because you asked me to? I, Donghuang Qingru, am going to stand up. Bite me. Don't think that you can order people around just because you are strong. He is indeed quite weak. Have you thought it through? Ching Su chuckled. Although he was smiling, the fat on his face made it impossible to tell that he was smiling. Dongguang Qingru felt very hurt. That's enough from the two of you. What do you mean by weak? Even I almost believe you. The people who were sitting around felt that Dongguang Qingru was indeed weak. It seemed to be the case. Come over. Yihua shouted out once again. Dongguang Qingru clenched her fist tightly. I will remember today's humiliation. One day, I, Dongguang Qingru, will be able to pat my chest and say, if you have the guts, you can humiliate me one more time. But today, you can humiliate me as you wish. I, Dongguang Qingru, will not even blink. I swear. Dongguang Qingru obediently walked to the side and looked at Dou Fusher. She felt that this person was very evil, especially his eyes. Could it be that his opponent was him? All right, he was indeed a little weak. Should he change to someone stronger? At this moment, Yihua said faintly, we naturally have to be cautious in this competition. The reaction of a cultivator would naturally be extraordinary. Indeed, if a person's reaction speed is fast, he would naturally have an advantage. Ching Su nodded his head, agreeing with what Yihua said. Then, for the first round, how about we compete in reaction speed? Yihua said faintly. Sure, how do you want to compete? Yihua stretched out his hand, and two huge hammers could be seen appearing. The number 10 million was printed on it. Looking at the big black hammer and the string of zeros on it, it seems like it is very heavy. Ching Su was a little confused. Dongguang Qingru picked up the hammer that was on the ground. Dongguang Qingru had thought that the hammer would be very heavy, but I never expected that it would be so light. It was like a feather. Dou Fusher also gripped his hammer, his eyes filled with doubt. Ching Su curiously asked, what does that mean? Yihua briefly explained the rules. When Dongguang Baiji, who was behind Yihua, heard this, she thought to herself, isn't this a little too formidable? You can even play like this. Wasn't it a little too careless? Dongguang Baiji wasn't the only one who felt this way. Everyone else felt the same way as well. Meng Yao didn't understand just what was going on. Dongguang Qingru had already understood the rules of the game. This was indeed a result of cultivation, and strength was also very important. This rule seems interesting. Let's begin then, Ching Su said softly, feeling that this was a new idea. Dou Fusher and Dongguang Qingru sat cross-legged on the ground with a hammer on their right and an iron pot in the middle. The two of them stared at each other deeply. Of course, Dongguang Qingru wouldn't allow herself to lose. Everyone here was from prestigious clans. If she lost, she would lose a lot of face. Therefore, he could only win. Yihua shouted out, Dongguang Qingru, use a bit more strength and hammer him to death. If Dou Fusher was still conscious, he would definitely feel wronged. Your Honor, you can't keep scamming me like this, right? However, the current floating world Dou did not have such thoughts. He rubbed his hands together, his muscles tensed up as he stared at Dongguang Qingru. First of all, he couldn't lose when they stared at each other. Yihua shouted out, let's begin, whoever's hammer breaks first will lose. This is a battle of reaction and strength. Indeed, with their strength, it would be a piece of cake for them to smash this balloon hammer. However, he couldn't smash it, so he had to control his strength. In the eyes of Dou Fusher and Dongguang Qingru, it was as if they wanted to hammer the other party to death. They tried their best to control their strength so that the hammer would not explode. No one was in the mood to listen to the lecture anymore. Even Meng Yao was looking at the two of them. The atmosphere at the scene was a little tense and oppressive. Even the palms of the people sitting next to them were sweating. Dou Fusher and Donghuang Qingru took a deep breath. It was as if they were going to fight. The two of them shouted in a stern voice. Sure too. Scissors. Sure too. Donghuang Qingru's two hands were revealed, and the change in Donghuang Qingru's expression could be clearly seen. From nervousness to surprise, and then to distorted. That expression of hers seemed to be saying, "Brat, you are playing. I am going to hammer you to death." Right now, a trace of a strange smile appeared on Yihua's face. Dou Fusher was very strong right now, and with Donghuang Qingru's current strength, it was impossible for her to win against Dou Fusher. Therefore, I have to add some extra strength to Donghuang Qingru's strength. This is not cheating, this is a symbol of strength. Donghuang Qingru didn't even know how fast she was. She picked up the hammer that was on her right hand and jumped up. Astral winds howled. That 10000000 hammer seemed to carry the aura of death as it smashed down towards Dou Fusher's forehead. Right now, Dou Fusher wanted to cover his forehead with a black walk. However, bang! Before Dou Fusher's hands could even touch his forehead, that black hammer smashed onto Dou Fusher's forehead, and an explosive sound could even be heard. Dou Fusher's forehead could be seen instantly becoming red and swollen. Donghuang Qingru felt that she was going to explode, and that distorted expression on her face was gradually replaced by a strange smile. Dou Fusher rubbed his forehead, his face tensed up. At this moment, Qing Su was frowning slightly. Although it was a frown, it was not visible at all. "You're really amazing. You actually managed to raise this weakling to the same level as you in an instant," Qing Su said faintly. Yihua said in a low voice, "Qing Su, don't forget that there are a lot of concepts that I taught you." Qing Su didn't say anything. His tiny eyes seemed to be filled with craftiness. The game continued. Dou Fusher, who had been struck by the hammer, had a serious expression on his face. Coupled with the red swelling on his forehead, he looked a little comical. "Sure too. Scissors. Paper." Dou Fusher was dumbfounded, and his hands immediately reached out to grab the pot. However, this time, Donghuang Qingru's speed was even faster. Dou Fusher still hadn't gotten the walk. Boom! A cyclone suddenly erupted, and everyone couldn't help but raise their hands to stop it. Donghuang Qingru had a crazed look on her face. She had controlled her attack very well just now. Her hammer did not break, but it had inflicted heavy damage on him. Take a look, his head was crooked. Dou Fusher clenched his fists tightly, his eyes filled with savagery. If I win, this person will die." At this moment, Yihua laughed lightly. "Qing Su, it seems like your plan isn't very good." "Ha, the outcome of the battle has yet to be revealed, it isn't like whoever wins will win." Although Qing Su said that, he still felt that his face was being thrown away. End of this chapter. Chapter 1226. This Dou Fusher, do you even know how to play rock paper scissors? Why are you so weak? You let others win twice, and this time, your head is crooked. You may be shameless, but I am. Donghuang Baiji had never seen such a game before. If it was an ordinary person, that person might have already turned into minced meat. Yet, Dou Fusher's head was actually only tilted to one side. It seems like this subordinate of Yihua is truly very strong. Seeing Dou Fusher being hammered so ruthlessly, the surrounding people all sucked in a breath of cold air. This was simply too savage. If it was him, that blow just now would have knocked his head off. Meng Yao felt like this wasn't a game at all. She was practically trying to beat her opponent to death. Donghuang Qingru, who had won 2 rounds in a row, was very excited. This game is really good. When I return to my clan, I can let my disciples play this game. Especially at the moment when he won, he felt like hammering his opponent to death. It felt so good. Do Fushi slowly raised his head and stared at Dong Huang Qingru, the veins on his forehead bulging. However, the match continued. The two continued. Sure too. Scissors. Step. Everyone's mouth twitched. That purple-eyed man was too unlucky. Have you never won in rock paper scissors? He actually lost again. Right now, Dong Huang Qingru could skillfully control the strength of the hammer. She didn't break the hammer just now, and she could continue to increase the strength. Do Fushi stared at his scissors in disbelief. Why did this guy drop 3 rocks in a row? Was this person the devil? That's right, Dong Huang Qingru used 3 rocks, while Do of the World used 3 scissors. This wasn't just a battle of reaction speed and strength, it was also a battle of intelligence. Qing Su's complexion darkened. This idiot, can't you change a little? You actually used scissors 3 times, are you sure? Yihua shook his head. Even if Do Fushi had become stronger because of Qing Su, his foolish personality is still the same. Dong Huang Baiji shook her head. This Do Fushi is truly an idiot. Change. Dong Huang Qingru was very proud of herself. It was as if she had already won. She immediately picked up the hammer and smashed it down. This time, Do Fushi did not take the blame. Boom! Dong Huang Qingru's attack was very heavy. Do Fushi's head was smashed into the ground. Everyone felt the pain just by looking at it. Meng Yao felt that Dong Huang Qingru's strength had increased by a lot. It shouldn't have been like this in the beginning. How did it suddenly increase by so much? Right at this moment, Yihua said to Dong Huang Baiji who was behind him, how about we go back home and have some fun as well? Sure. It's settled then. With a strange smile on his face, Yihua said, it's settled then. Dong Huang Baiji didn't expect that Yihua would be the kind of person who doesn't even recognize his own family when he starts beating you up. He completely doesn't see you as his wife. Do Fushi pulled his face out of the ground. There was an obvious face print on the ground, and there was even a little bit of blood. Because Do Fushi's nose was bleeding, it was a waste. His hairstyle was also messed up. His jet cut had been hammered into a pot cut. Looking at Dong Huang Qingru, she waved the hammer in her hand as if she was extremely confident. His expression was indeed asking for a beating. At this moment, Yihua said faintly, keep a low profile. All right. Dong Huang Qingru shouted loudly. She slowly sat down and placed the hammer at the side. He didn't expect the feeling of beating someone up to be so satisfying. It was simply a sublimation of the soul. Why didn't he realize this before? Right now, Qing Su felt a bit uncomfortable and shouted out, win a round for me. Hearing that, Do Fushi's expression became grave. However, he still nodded his head. The competition continued. Stone. Scissors. Cloth. Swish. 2 hands appeared. Everyone was astonished. They didn't expect that Do Fushi was actually a pair of scissors. However, Dong Huang Qingru became a piece of cloth. Dong Huang Qingru hurriedly picked up the black pot in front of her and placed it on her head with a complacent look on her face. Is your speed faster than mine? However, very quickly, everyone discovered that something was different. Do Fushi's speed wasn't very fast, but his entire body had become malevolent. His expression seemed to be both smiling and crying at the same time. When Dong Huang Qingru saw Do Fushi's expression, she was a bit stupefied. Right now, Do Fushi's aura gradually became stronger, and a gale formed around his body. Do Fushi could be seen holding onto the hammer, and with a sinister look on his face, he said, "You are dead for sure." Boom! Intense killing intent was being emitted out from Do Fusher's body, and Dongwang Qingru felt as if she could see a bloody mouth appearing behind Do Fusher. That was a demon opening up the gates of hell. Ferocious killing intent engulfed the entire place. Do Fusher raised his hammer high up, and his deathly gaze seemed to be telling Dongwang Qingru, "I am going to smash you into meat paste." The immense pressure caused Dongwang Qingru to feel that this fellow has gone mad. He would rather smash his hammer into pieces than kill me. This is breaking the rules. Right now, Qing Su had a smile on his face. In actuality, the rules of the game are, whoever lives will die. The one who lives will always be the winner. Yi Hua's expression remained the same, and he appeared to be very calm. However, Donghuang Baiji was different. Do Fusher actually broke the rules. Yesterday morning, everyone in the surroundings also had a look of astonishment on their faces. If Dongwang Qingru was like this just now, the purple-eyed man would have been smashed into pieces countless times. He is still too young. Chapter 12:27. Then they would concoct the antidote. If anyone failed to concoct the antidote, they would die. This was also the most effective method of Qing Su. It was simply an inhumane game. Everyone still didn't understand what he meant by playing with poison. Could it be that he wanted to fight poison with poison? Meng Yao was also puzzled. How was she supposed to play with poison? Yi Hua and Qing Su stood up at the same time, then walked to the center of the square, and the two of them were separated by a distance of 30 meters. At this moment, Yi Hua said faintly, "Poison naturally has to be extracted from a poisonous object. However, if you want to extract poison from a non-poisonous object, it will naturally be difficult." Qing Su agreed with him. He said softly, "That's right. Even if it's not poisonous, it's still poisonous. How can the world distinguish between them?" The people sitting around were confused. What did he mean? They didn't understand. Yi Hua expressed that he didn't understand what Yi Hua said, but he had to pretend that he understood what Yi Hua said. "We'll use the same herbs to make the poison, and then use the same herbs to make the antidote. How about that?" Qing Su liked the suggestion very much. "Of course." Yi Hua nodded his head, then said to Meng Yao, "Prepare 10 types of the most common medicinal herbs for us, and all of them are non-poisonous." Meng Yao was looking forward to it. But before Meng Yao could do anything, someone went to pick the herbs. After all, there were herbs everywhere outside of Sky Mountain. Some were ordinary, some were precious. In the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, all 10 types of medicinal herbs were placed in front of Yi Hua and Qing Su. Yi Hua and Qing Su slightly frowned. After all, the clash between the medicinal herbs and the medicinal properties were very particular. Of course, Yi Hua had to be cautious. After all, the other party was Qing Su, an expert in using poison. If Qing Su were to faint after being poisoned by his subordinate, it would be a very shameful thing if this matter were to spread out. Right now, Qing Su was also very serious, because he knew how formidable Yi Hua was. All of the 10 medicinal herbs that Yi Hua gave to Qing Su were non-toxic. How was he going to refine poison like this? The people who went out to serve the dishes were also very cunning. They were not ordinary people, and they also had some understanding of medicinal herbs. He knew that there were some medicinal herbs that could not be refined into poison, so he made 10 of them that could not be refined at all. "I'd like to see how you're going to turn non-poisonous into poisonous. If it really works, then you guys are really good." Yi Hua and Qing Su were both a bit solemn. They felt that this wasn't a question that was given to the other party, but rather, it was a question that was given to the two of us. No, to Yi Hua and Qing Su, this kind of thing was a challenge, and they had never tried it before. Refining poison was a piece of cake for the two of them. First, he needed a cauldron. As a poison refiner, Ching Su naturally had his own cauldron. This was a different cauldron. With a bang, this strange cauldron fell beside Ching Su. This was a rectangular cauldron furnace. However, most cauldron furnaces were round. This shape was very rare. However, this one was meandering like a river. When Yihua saw the cauldron that Ching Su took out, he wasn't surprised at all. It was the same cauldron that Ching Su took out. Great Spring Cauldron. This was the cauldron that Ching Su had been using all along. Yihua didn't know where Ching Su got this cauldron from. In the past, Yihua wanted to ask Ching Su to change the cauldron, but Ching Su didn't want to change the cauldron, and said that he was used to using it. Yihua didn't force Ching Su to change the cauldron. In actuality, right now, Yihua felt that this furnace was just like a barbecue grill. By placing a bit of charcoal in the middle of the furnace, it would definitely be able to start a barbecue feast. The others were also a little confused about this barbecue rack. After all, it didn't look like a furnace at all. However, when Yihua took out the furnace, everyone was shocked. The moment this furnace was taken out, a delightful fragrance wafted out. Everyone who was sitting here had eaten quite a bit of medicine, and they were already used to the fragrance. However, when they smelled this fragrance, everyone revealed a comfortable expression, and even seemed to be intoxicated. It was as if they had returned to their mother's embrace. Meng Yao was also very shocked. This cauldron should be quite old. In the past, Yihua planned to give this cauldron to Ching Su, but Ching Su didn't want it, so he kept it. This cauldron was called Danxia. Its origin was unknown, and Yihua picked it up from the roadside. At that time, everyone was very shocked. Who would be able to throw such an amazing cauldron on the roadside? Isn't this person's ambition too big? However, the truth was that Yihua really picked it up from the roadside. Ching Su looked towards Danxia, and his gaze was a little strange. Why do I feel that this cauldron is very familiar, as if I have seen it somewhere before? Yihua noticed Ching Su's gaze. Of course you have seen it before. Even if I gave it to you, you wouldn't want it. With the appearance of the two cauldrons, it could be seen who was strong and who was weak. Yihua definitely had to appear strong, and he also had to look handsome and kind. Therefore, most of the people would support Yihua. That damned Baldy, he was so fierce just now. He really killed someone just because of a disagreement. I am going to curse you to lose. I am going to curse you to death. This cauldron is not bad. Ching Su said with a smile. Yihua smiled too. I will give it to you, do you want it? I can't afford it, I am already used to using this cauldron. You should just keep your high-grade cauldron for yourself. After Ching Su finished speaking, he went into a daze. Yihua smiled but didn't say anything. Back then, Ching Su also said the same thing. I didn't expect that he still remembered it. Ching Su adjusted his state of mind. The two strange things that happened just now made me very puzzled. Just what is going on? Why did such a thing happen? Dong Wang Baiji looked at the two of them. The relationship between the two of them back then, and now, it has become like this. Dong Wang Qingru looked at the two of them very puzzled. She suddenly realized that the two of them actually looked like good gay friends. That fatty was throwing a tantrum, so this handsome guy is coaxing the fatty. This should be how it should be. What a good gay friend for a lifetime. Right now, the two of them were officially immersed in concocting medicine. And that was looking at the medicinal ingredients. Even weeds have appeared, are these people serious? If these medicinal ingredients can be used to concoct poison, then this is simply invincible. Yihua deeply wrinkled his brows. To be able to make Yihua frown so deeply, it seems like we have encountered a very difficult problem. Even the poison master Ching Su was tightly wrinkling his brows right now, not daring to relax at all. In the past, Yi Hua and Qing Su had only exchanged pointers on how to concoct poison. In theory, Yi Hua was slightly better than Qing Su, but in actual combat, Qing Su was far ahead of Yi Hua. After all, Yi Hua wasn't interested in stabbing people in the back, so he didn't want to concoct poison. But right now, how is it possible to concoct poison from these medicinal ingredients in front of me? Not only Yi Hua was thinking like this, even Qing Su was thinking like this. If I am able to concoct poison, I will go and eat shit. Those disciples who went to gather medicinal ingredients had strange smiles on their faces. If you guys are able to concoct poison, I will go and eat all of the shit at the foot of the mountain. Just when everyone was puzzled, Yi Hua moved. This move of his, even Qing Su was a bit stupefied. Did this man understand? With a calm look on his face, Yi Hua weighed the medicinal ingredients in his hand for a bit, then placed them into the cauldron. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Is this fellow serious? A drop of sweat appeared on Qing Su's forehead. In terms of concocting poison, I have never lost before. End of this chapter. Chapter 12:28. With the combination of these medicinal ingredients, one of them will definitely be able to concoct a poison. Just which one will it be? Qing Su slightly looked towards Yi Hua, seemingly wanting to see which medicinal ingredient Yi Hua would choose. However, Yi Hua just happened to raise his head and look over, causing Qing Su to hurriedly lower his head. Everyone saw Yi Hua's expression. Seems like this fatty is not going to make it. When Dong Wang Baiji saw Yi Hua's smile, she knew that he was bluffing. I reckon that Yi Hua is just randomly placing the medicinal ingredients to disturb Qing Su's judgment. The more Qing Su's mind is in a mess, the more he won't be able to concentrate. Seems like my wife knows my man the best. Yi Hua was indeed trying to scare Qing Su. Although Yi Hua was just bluffing, Yi Hua still had his own way of thinking. After all, how could I possibly lose to Yi Hua? He was especially serious about every single battle. If you didn't believe me, you could go and ask the Empress if she was serious about every single battle. Qing Su's gaze swept across the medicinal ingredients, pinching and smelling them, and finally, he started. Meanwhile, Yi Hua's side was already starting to heat up. When concocting medicine, what is important is the heat. When the heat is right, the medicine will naturally be good. Other than the heat, the flame is also an important factor. A ball of white flame could be seen emerging from Yi Hua's left hand, and a ball of black flame could be seen emerging from his right hand. The black and white flames were trembling like spirits. Everyone knew what this is. Even in the 9 provinces and 5 seas, deviant flames are rare. This man actually has 2 deviant flames, he is simply a nouveau riche. No wonder he is so strong. Qing Su looked at the deviant flame in Yi Hua's hand and slightly wrinkled his brows. As the deviant flame in Yi Hua's hand burned, the furnace actually showed a state of 1 black and 1 white. Such a situation caused everyone to exclaim in admiration. Can it be done like this? Meanwhile, Qing Su also started placing the medicinal ingredients. Everyone noticed that Qing Su's actions were very standard, while Yi Hua's actions were rather unpracticed. From this, it could be seen who is the master. Qing Su was also a man who had a deviant flame. In his hand was a ball of blue deviant flame. Following Qing Su's shout, the blue flame began burning the barbecue grill. At this moment, Yi Hua said faintly, "To be honest, if you bring some barbecue grill over, I think I will be able to get a few skewers." Dong Huang Baiji shook her head. This Yi Hua, he only wants to eat all day long. He is currently in the middle of a competition, can't he be a bit more serious? If Yi Hua were to know of Dong Huang Baiji's thoughts, he would definitely teach her a lesson. You really have long hair, but your knowledge is short. I, the Supreme Overlord, was obviously tricking him. Yihua's expression became grave as he said gravely, "This is a laxative." Of course, furthermore, this is a strong laxative. There is no antidote in these medicinal herbs, so... Ching Su had a look of, "You understand," on his face, as if he had already seen that Yihua was going to poop on his pants. Yihua's stomach let out a grumble, and everyone heard it. "I feel that I am going to take a dump soon. If I don't take a dump soon, I am going to poop on my pants." Yihua didn't expect that Ching Su would be so ruthless. He knew that I, the Supreme Overlord, care about my face the most. If I were to poop in front of so many people, I would truly lose all of my face. Furthermore, I indeed feel that I am going to poop soon. This bastard. Now, it's your turn to speak. Ching Su was very proud of himself. "Go ahead and shit. If that's the case, I will be the winner of this competition." Yihua said gravely, "Since you are this vicious, then don't blame me for being heartless. This is not a laxative. This is Indian divine oil. Indian holy oil." Everyone was confused. Dong Huang Baiji naturally knew what Indian divine oil was. This shameless fellow actually dared to say it out loud, and furthermore, could it be that Yihua had been using it all this time? It's very likely that I shouldn't say it out loud. This kind of thing shouldn't affect the man too much. I'll pretend that I don't know anything in the future. However, this caused the entire team to know that His Honor was using Indian divine oil. Do you know what is called black and white? You don't know? Then, I'll make it simpler. Do you understand yin and yang intercourse? This is the ability of my deviant fire. Along with Yihua's words, everyone was astonished. So he relied on the deviant flame to apply the poison. What a cunning man. It's actually an item that combines yin and yang, damn it. I wonder how the effect will be like. Everyone looked at the same spot where Ching Su was. But, Ching Su's stomach was too big, and it was completely impossible for them to see anything. The faces of all the women present became slightly red. "I'm simply speechless," Ching Su was astonished. You actually gave me an aphrodisiac." End of this chapter. Chapter 12:29. Same here, let's see who can endure it, or who can lose face. Yihua was already holding it in. No, I still have to cheat. Ching Su is a man with professional ethics, he definitely wouldn't do such a thing. Yihua was naturally a man with principles, he naturally wouldn't cheat in such a situation. Do I look like a man who cheats? That doesn't exist. I will only use my strength to prove everything. Thus, I can hold it in. But what about you, Ching Su? Can you hold it in? This is the Indian divine oil that is made from two kinds of deviant flames. It is colorless and tasteless, the kind that you will want to eat even more after eating it. Right now, Ching Su was already sweating. After all, Ching Su only had the body of an ordinary person, how could he withstand the Indian divine oil? His face began to distort. At this moment, Ching Su turned his head and looked towards Do Fushi. At this moment, Do Fushi, who was already in a daze, trembled. Yihua sighed in his heart. Do Fushi, you are really unlucky no matter where you go, sigh. Right now, Yihua was also feeling a bit uncomfortable. This laxative is really quite powerful, especially with the addition of deviant flames. I feel like I'm going to jump out. Ching Su wasn't much better off. Just like Yihua, his face was already red. Both of them knew that there was no antidote, they could either release the laxative or die from holding it in. Looking at the two's red faces, everyone exclaimed in admiration in their hearts. They can even hold it in. You two are truly the strongest kings, I'm convinced. Expert, how about we stop here? Ching Su said in a low voice. He was already at the edge. Yihua had a calm look on his face, but he knew in his heart that he was already at the edge and was about to burst out. Even if I am going to die, I have to smile. Ching Su, how can we stop here? The victor hasn't even been decided yet. Yihua said with a smile, appearing to be very relaxed. Just that slightly red face of his seemed to have already been betrayed. Ching Su's face became distorted. Expert, how about we play something else? I know that you can't hold it in anymore. When the time comes, we will lose face together. F***k, I have already hidden it so deeply, but I was still discovered. Alright, then this sentence counts as a draw. Sure. Ching Su finally let out a breath. After finished speaking, Yihua disappeared. He must have definitely gone to squat in the toilet. Needless to say, when I squat in the toilet to relieve myself, that kind of pleasure is simply incomparable. Ching Su quickly took out the antidote and swallowed it. Only then did he feel much better. From this matter, it could be seen that Yihua and Ching Su were both upright and above-board people, so how could it be possible for them to cheat? Soon, the two of them returned to the scene with a relaxed expression. One was having a good time defecating, while the other was having a good time taking pills. Then, now, what do you still want to compete in? Yihua asked faintly. Ching Su had a dignified look on his face. This man was more powerful than he had imagined. His poison should have some effect on him. What do you want to play? Yihua said faintly, how about we have a dream? Dream realm. Ching Su was a little confused. Yes, a dreamlike game of hide and seek. On the other hand, Ching Su felt that this was interesting. Without any fear, Ching Su directly agreed to Ching Su's suggestion. Yihua was about to give Ching Su a thumbs up. You don't even need to use your brain. If I, the Supreme Overlord, wanted to plot against you, I would have succeeded very quickly. At this moment, everyone was very curious and wanted to hear what the rules were. Yihua smiled and did not say anything. Are you ready? Yihua asked lightly. Come. Ching Su said faintly and slowly closed his eyes. Yihua nodded his head and slowly closed his eyes. Ching Su felt that he had entered into an illusion, and he suddenly opened his eyes. The scene that appeared in front of him caused Ching Su to go into a daze. Ching Su slowly stretched out his hand. His fingers were very slender and had the appearance of a woman. Ching Su touched his own face. I'm not fat at all, what's going on? Looking at the surroundings, there was a total of 7 people standing there. Among them, there was a skeleton that was standing at the center position, and the skeleton seemed very cold and arrogant. Who designed this position? I, Ching Su, am not convinced. But, why do these people look so familiar? As if I have known them before. Not far away, there was also a total of 100+ people standing there, and they looked very aggressive. However, on my side, there is only a total of 8 people. It is obvious that I am a little lacking. But what the hell is there to be afraid of? I only have one word, and that is, fight. Ching Su felt that his body was not under his control, and when he really rushed out, the first thing he felt was, isn't this too sloppy? Aren't they going to discuss the plan first? Fighting brainlessly will cause people to die. But right now, he had already rushed out, and when Ching Su saw that there was a twin-tailed girl that was hit by the skeleton, not knowing why, Ching Su felt very angry in his heart. I just want to kill all of these people in front of me. Ching Su discovered that not only was he very angry, everyone else was also very angry. That skeleton that was carrying that little girl seemed to be very sad, and this kind of sadness seemed to be transmitted to everyone. Ching Su felt that he had been infected by the skeleton, and he just wanted to fight to the death with these trash and kill them all. Ching Su saw that the number of people around him was getting lesser and lesser, and seeing them fall down just like that, Ching Su felt very uncomfortable in his heart. In the end, Ching Su saw a skeleton standing in front of him, and there were 60+ overlords standing in front of him. Ching Su heard the skeleton saying faintly, "See you in the next life." After finished speaking, the skeleton rushed out. Looking at the corpses around him, Ching Su was confused. What is going on? Why do I feel so sad in my heart? Back then, why did Ching Su kill so many people? It was because everyone realized that they had fallen into a trap, and thus, they chose to fight to protect Ching Su. Ching Su was the only attacker, but after Yihua fell down, Ching Su, who had no one to protect him, died. Therefore, this was also the reason why Ching Su wanted to create a powerful servant. Subconsciously, Ching Su did so to protect himself. Ching Su watched as his body fell down, but he was powerless to do anything. He could even see those overlords cheering and celebrating their victory. In the end, the overlords placed the corpses together and burned them with deviant fire. They were burned just like that. Ching Su suddenly heard a voice ring out, and a skeleton walked over from the side. Isn't this that skeleton from just now? Why is he here? Did he die from waiting for so long? Right now, Ching Su didn't even know if he was in reality or if he was in a dream. I am with you, Yihua said faintly, then transformed back into his human form. Ching Su looked at Yihua blankly. You, just who are you? Don't you have any idea who I am? These are all the memories in your mind, and you should be very clear about them. Yihua said gravely. Impossible. How can there be such things in my mind? It is definitely you. Ching Su, did you see that? Back then, everyone died in battle, and I have to bear a lot of responsibility. Yihua let out a long sigh. Although it is a pity, the heavens have opened their eyes and didn't let everyone leave. Ching Su didn't say anything and looked at those overlords. Those faces seemed very familiar to me. End of this chapter. Chapter 1230. Ching Su, you are the most special existence in the team, so don't disappoint everyone. Yihua stretched out his hand and patted on Ching Su's shoulder. Ching Su still found it a bit hard to believe all of this. He looked at the man in front of him. Is what he said true or false? Follow me and give it a try. When the time comes, we will know if what I said is true or false. Yihua said indifferently. He knew that it wouldn't be easy to deal with Ching Su, so he had to use another method. Ching Su looked at the scene. This familiar feeling won't lie. Seeing that Ching Su had tacitly agreed, Yihua finally let out a sigh of relief. Of course, he didn't expect that he would be able to deal with Ching Su just by having him recall what happened back then. After exiting the dreamland, Yihua and Ching Su opened their eyes. Everyone was curious. Who would win between the two? Ching Su didn't say anything and sat in the crowd. Yihua did the same and sat in the crowd. Everyone was a little confused. What was going on? Why didn't they say something? Who won and who lost in the end? To actually not announce it, this is too suspenseful. Even Dongwang Baiji couldn't help but ask softly, Yihua, just who won? Other than myself, do you think there is any other possibility? Yihua said softly. This Ching Su is a bit hard to deal with. Right now, I only need to dig out those precious fragments. Next up, I need even stronger evidence. If not, when this Ching Su goes crazy, I will have no choice but to deal with him. Yihua, what do you plan to do now? Donghuang Baiji asked curiously. Yihua said softly, one step at a time. After this is over, I will go over to the Eastern Emperor clan and take a look at the situation. You are really going over? Donghuang Baiji cried out in surprise. What, do you think that I am joking? I, the Supreme Overlord, have never joked around. Yi Hua said gravely. The words that I, the Supreme Overlord, have always been serious. Dong Wang Baiji said softly, Yi Hua, I understand your intention, but I really don't want to cause unnecessary trouble. I also don't want to look into what happened in the past. In actuality, Dong Wang Baiji was still worried that Yi Hua would cause the crowd to attack him again. I allow you to take back what you just said, then reorganize your words and say it one more time. Yi Hua said gravely. Yi Hua sure has a way of lecturing people. The surrounding students were all frightened to the point that they were trembling. I really don't know what to do. Dong Huang Baiji said helplessly. Yi Hua laughed lightly, if you have a way, this seat of mine will be yours. Who cares about your seat? I'm just worried that something will happen to you. Baiji, you think too highly of those people. It's just a matter of waving their hands. After that, I want your father to get justice. Or other elders. After hearing what Yi Hua said, Dong Huang Baiji felt very moved. Although I don't know the truth of the matter, it is truly great that Yi Hua has such thoughts. When the time comes, I'll have to think of a way to act cool. Yi Hua muttered. Originally, Dong Huang Baiji was still very touched by Yi Hua's words, but she was immediately pulled back to reality. Dong Huang Qingru, come here, I want to ask you a few questions. Great God, please ask. Dong Huang Qingru shouted out respectfully. However, I, Dong Huang Qingru, swear that if I admit defeat now, it will be a sacrifice for the future. A person can only grow while being ridiculed. If no one forces you, you wouldn't even know how strong your own ability is. Yi Hua asked lightly, is there any scandal in your Eastern Emperor family? How is that possible? Our Eastern Emperor family is the benchmark. Dong Huang Qingru said with a righteous look on her face. Dong Huang Qingru didn't dare to say it. There are so many people here, if she were to expose it, where would the face of the Eastern Emperor family be? Yi Hua asked faintly, Dong Huang Qingru, right now is a good opportunity for you to atone for your crimes, don't test my patience. About that, great God, it's not that I don't want to say it, I only found out about it recently. Dong Huang Qingru was also afraid. This man would beat someone up just because of a single sentence, and furthermore, he would beat someone to death. Oh. What is it? Actually, I don't know the exact details. The floor leader asked me to keep it a secret. He said that it's a big secret of the Eastern royal clan. Dong Huang Qingru said sneakily. Looking at her, one could tell that she was talking about a secret. Right now, even Dong Huang Baiji was curious as to what exactly had happened. Then let's go now. Yi Hua was already impatient to go and stir up some trouble. The main thing was that with Qing Su by his side, Qing Su might be able to evoke some of his bad memories. Dong Huang said softly, Great God, I can't do that. I have to wait until Mount Tianshan reaches the ascendant stage before I go back. Yi Hua went silent for a moment, then felt that it was fine. Then, let's play for another 7 days. This time, I, the Supreme Overlord, will be able to think about how to take revenge for the Empress. That scene must have been extremely comfortable. Sure, then I will wait for another 7 days. Yi Hua said faintly. The person sitting next to him was puzzled. What did he mean by waiting for 7 days? What was this man trying to do? Don't tell me you're itching all over if you don't do anything for a day. Dong Huang Qingru was very scared now. If she brought the great god back to her family, she would definitely be beaten up. But if he didn't bring her along, he would be beaten up right now. Moreover, this woman was of pure bloodline. However, the level leader had said that no information could be leaked. If not, the East royal family would become a laughing stock. Meng Yao didn't know what to say. She didn't have the mood to continue. Qing Su was also very hesitant. The scene played in his mind over and over again. Furthermore, it felt more and more familiar. His figure was about to overlap with that person's. Was he really one of them? This skeleton didn't lie to me. Qing Su didn't dare to come to a conclusion, so he decided to observe the situation first. 7 days passed by very quickly. Yihua brought along Donghuang Baiji and walked around Heavenly Mountain. It was one thing for Yihua to listen to the lectures, but after listening to the lectures, Yihua felt like sleeping. Looking at these people leaving one after another, Yihua's mood was pretty good. But Wanwan didn't feel very good. Mr. Yi, why don't you not go? Great God, this lady is right. Why don't we go another day? Donghuang Qingru said hurriedly. If he really went, it would be the rhythm of the world changing. Yihua's gaze turned cold, and the latter instantly became speechless. At this moment, Meng Yao leisurely walked over and asked in a low voice, "Are we really going to the East royal family?" Yihua looked at Meng Yao and revealed out a kind smile, "Yes." "Do you need help?" Meng Yao said lightly. This caused Yihua to go into a daze. However, he felt that this was a good thing. This meant that there was still hope for Yi Juetian and that he didn't die. When Donghuang Qingru heard what Yihua said, she was very stupefied. "You are God Meng Yao, how can you just do whatever you want to do? Don't you have any sense of propriety at all? How can this do? This is too careless." End of this chapter. Chapter 1231. There's no need for that, I will be able to settle this matter myself. With a, you understand, a smile on his face, Yihua stretched out his hand and patted on Meng Yao's shoulder. Towards Yihua's smile, Meng Yao naturally understood. It was naturally Yi Juetian. Meng Yao didn't know what to say. She could only softly say, "Then be careful. The Donghuang clan is not to be trifled with." Donghuang Qingru wanted to add that exalted goddess Meng Yao was right, don't go and cause trouble. It wasn't just Donghuang Qingru, even Wanwan wanted to say that they really shouldn't go there. After all, there was a slim chance of survival. "Meng Yao, do you think I'm a pushover? You should know me very well." Yihua retracted his smile and said faintly. Meng Yao chuckled, "Then I'll be going back." Yihua nodded his head, and Meng Yao disappeared from the spot. However, Donghuang Qingru and Wanwan were very confused. Why did goddess Meng Yao seem to be so obedient? Just who was this man? The disciples of the Donghuang clan were all puzzled. All the disciples present knew that this man was going to cause trouble in their territory. According to the normal procedure, he should have tried his best to stop them, even to the extent of fighting to the death. Only then would he be able to display the demeanor of a great family. But, however, right now, I don't have that thought at all. I feel that they were on the same side. There was no need to fight at all. That's right, they were all on the same side. According to the head guard of the vestibule, that woman had an authentic bloodline. This was a huge matter that would shake the entire 9 prefectures and 5 seas. What are you waiting for? Let's go. It has been a very long time since I last did something, and today, I can finally do something. Thus, Yihua brought along his wife and subordinates and set off. Even though Qing Su still admitted to it, Lin Fan could feel that he was slowly changing, as though he had realized the truth. As for Battle Fusher, it's best that I don't turn back to normal right now. No, wait, this is the normal Battle Fusher, the previous one is the fake Battle Fusher. Donghuang Qingru was helpless. She opened the teleportation gate that led directly to the Eastern Emperor clan above the Azure Ocean. Right now, Donghuang Baiji was a bit nervous. I don't know how I should face this. If everything that I said is real. In that case, his hometown should be on the other side of the portal. Donghuang Baiji became rash. Yihua seemed to be able to sense Donghuang Baiji's unusual movements, and he stretched out his hand and held on to Donghuang Baiji's hand, giving her encouragement. With me by your side, even if the Heavenly King is here, he won't be able to touch a single hair on your head. The group of people stepped into the teleportation formation, and Yihua could only feel his vision turning dark. A beautiful scene appeared in front of Donghuang Baiji. This place is truly beautiful. Even Qing Su was attracted by the scene in front of him. Everyone appeared on the first level, and the Eastern Emperor clan was on top of the rainbow clouds, ascending in a stair-like manner. Therefore, from this angle, it just so happened that one could see the Eastern Emperor clan level by level, and it was as gorgeous as a rainbow. Donghuang Baiji felt that it was very romantic. If it was at night, it would definitely make people intoxicated. Indeed, in the Donghuang clan, the night was the most enchanting. We await the head guard of the vestibule. The disciple who was guarding at the side shouted out respectfully. Although he noticed Yihua and the others, because Donghuang Qingru was the one who brought them in, he didn't say anything. Donghuang Qingru didn't know what to say. Didn't you want to create trouble? Hurry up and create trouble, I have already made up my mind. Even the disciple who was guarding at the side was thinking the same. It doesn't matter if I die sooner or later, I might as well watch how you guys create trouble in the Eastern Emperor clan. However, after waiting for a long time, Donghuang Qingru still didn't see Yihua kill them. Yihua was also very confused. Doesn't it hurt when I'm kneeling? Why are you looking at me? Is there something wrong with you? Donghuang Qingru seemed to be able to understand Yihua's gaze and said in a low voice, "This person is here to create trouble. Call your boss out." Yihua and Donghuang Baiji were both stupefied. What is this Donghuang Qingru trying to do? Why does she make it seem as if we are on the same side? You are someone from that side. Qing Su and Dou Fusher stood at the back. The two of them were like autistic children, not saying anything and not caring about anything. Head guard of the vestibule, what do you mean by this? The disciple who was kneeling on the ground asked confusedly. Yihua said faintly, do you still not understand? Your head guard of the vestibule has already turned traitor. Donghuang Qingru, creating something out of nothing. This is creating something out of nothing. My, Donghuang Qingru's, heart can be seen by the sun and moon. I am also loyal and devoted to the Donghuang family, how could I possibly turn traitor? No, it should be said that I, Donghuang Qingru, only support the original. Mere pirated goods, go and die. Thus, I feel that Donghuang Baiji is the original. If she isn't the original, then she must be a pirated one. I, Donghuang Qingru, can only blame myself for making an error of judgment. Swish, swish, swish. All of the disciples in the surroundings drew out their swords. However, the disciples beside Yihua drew out their swords on reflex, a real hammer. Donghuang Qingru felt a bit dizzy, and she really wanted to fall down. Head guard of the vestibule. You actually brought along your disciples to rebel. And you even dared to come back. What guts you have. Yihua said faintly, this person's guts are indeed big, you have to call your boss over, if not, you will be killed. Donghuang Qingru's heart was in pain. Why did I have to meet this man? Ever since I met this man, I have never had a good life. I have been humiliated by him every single day. Although it wasn't physically, it was still mentally. The disciples in the surroundings felt that what Yihua said was right, and two of them hurriedly went to look for the floor leader. After all, if the head guard betrayed them, they still have to call for the floor leader, this is the rule. Yihua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. I feel that this is too fast, there isn't any foreshadowing at all, it will give people a kind of unpleasant feeling. This is a little troublesome. Not long later, Dong Huang Fei, who was the floor leader, arrived. Yihua looked at Dong Huang Fei, and Dong Huang Fei directly looked at Yihua with a grave gaze. This man is very dangerous. Dong Huang Qin grew. What are you doing? Dong Huang Fei shouted out gravely. Dong Huang Qingru knew that she had no chance and said respectfully, "Floor leader, this person is looking for you." After finished speaking, she even blinked her eyes. Dong Huang Fei shouted out, "Dong Huang Qingru. Why are you blinking your eyes at me?" Dong Huang Qingru. Yihua didn't pay attention to Dong Huang Fei and asked faintly, "Dong Huang Fei, right? Who are you?" Dong Huang Fei asked in a low voice. For the time being, he didn't explode, but he seemed to be very vigilant. Yihua pushed on to Dong Huang Baiji. "Wife, it is your turn to act." Dong Huang Baiji took a deep breath, then said gravely, "My name is Dong Huang Baiji." Dong Huang Fei finally knew. Why did Dong Huang Qingru blink her eyes just now? Could it be that this woman is the one? Something bad has happened. Something big is going to happen. This damned Dong Huang Qingru, why did you bring them here? We are going to die together. End of this chapter. Chapter 1232. Yihua saw the struggle within Dong Huang Fei's eyes, then said with a slight smile, "Dong Huang Fei, you don't have to be nervous. What about my wife? She has the purest bloodline of Dong Huang Fei, and the reason why I came over this time is to seek justice." A pure bloodline. These words exploded in the ears of all the disciples. How was this possible? Other than the patriarch, who else could have the purest bloodline? You guys don't seem to believe me. Baiji, show them what purity is. Wait! Dong Huang Fei shouted. Why did he have to stop them? If Dong Huang Baiji were to release her aura in this place, everyone would definitely know about it. He couldn't take the blame for this. His mind was in a mess now, and he had to think it through properly. Wan Wan was so scared that she was trembling. They actually caused trouble like this. It was too careless. Why do we have to wait? Yihua asked gravely. Why don't we talk in private? Dong Huang Fei did not want to blow up this matter, and he wanted to settle it himself. Initially, Yihua wanted to go straight to the heart of the matter, but he suddenly thought, it's good for me to chat with them. The most important thing is to know what exactly is going on. It was better to figure it out. Yihua nodded his head, and only then did Dong Huang Fei let out a breath of relief. Please. Dong Huang Fei appeared to be slightly more polite. Yihua was also the kind of person who wouldn't slap a smiling face. Thus, he brought along his wife and subordinates and walked over. Dong Huang Qingru was stunned. She couldn't help but shout, "Great God! What about me? Follow me." Yihua said faintly. This person is still somewhat useful, I will keep him by my side for the time being. Dong Huang Qingru exclaimed that she was lucky that she wasn't betrayed by the great god. Dong Huang Fei didn't say anything, and he immediately sealed off the inner layer. Dong Huang Fei sat at the center of the hall, and Yihua didn't care too much about it and sat at the side. Dong Huang Qingru, serve the tea. Yes. Everyone just sat there, and no one spoke. Dong Huang Fei sized up these people. Other than this man and woman, there were two other men and a woman. The woman seemed to be quite frightened. She was even trembling. As for the two men, one was fat and the other was skinny. They looked like they had lost their minds. Therefore, there were only these two people who had battle power. That woman seems to be very strong. As for this man, it felt dangerous, but it also felt like he was a gigolo. He must have gotten close to this woman to give him advice. in order to achieve his own dirty plan. What a vicious man. It seemed like he still had to start with this woman. Looking at her unwilling look, she was forced by this man. Donghuang Baiji. Yes. Donghuang Baiji nodded her head. Donghuang Fei said with a steady tone, Miss Baiji, don't be afraid. Since you are here, no one will dare to do anything to you. Yi Hua and Donghuang Baiji. This sentence should be reversed. It should be that we won't do anything to you, right? Looking at Yi Hua's shocked gaze, Donghuang Fei sneered in his heart. Were you still able to control the situation in the past? Miss Baiji, if you have any difficulties, you can tell me. Yi Hua said gravely, what exactly are you talking about? I want to ask you. How could my wife have a pure bloodline? Call your family head out. Donghuang Fei frowned and laughed, don't be impatient, I will naturally inform the clan master. However, I still need to ask a few questions. Of course, I'm not asking you. Yi Hua didn't say anything. Excuse me. Donghuang Baiji asked. You are a member of the East Emperor family, why are you wandering outside? Donghuang Fei asked confusedly. Without waiting for Donghuang Baiji to say anything, Yi Hua said faintly, I will have to ask you all about this. Why was my wife framed? Donghuang Fei wished that he could give Yi Hua a kick. However, he didn't have a clear understanding of Yi Hua's strength, so he didn't dare to act recklessly. Miss Baiji, what is your purpose for coming here this time? Donghuang Fei asked lightly. Donghuang Baiji said in a low voice, my main purpose for coming here this time is, before Donghuang Baiji finished speaking, Yi Hua added. Acting cool. Donghuang Baiji. Everyone, Donghuang Fei's mind was filled with 10,000 curses. Can't we just have a pleasant conversation? You stinky man. What are you interrupting for? Do you believe that I won't interrupt you? Yi Hua said gravely, now, I will ask you a question. Donghuang Fei waved his hand. I want to know. The biggest secret of your East Emperor family is related to my woman. Why was she controlled by someone? If it wasn't for me appearing and displaying a heroic feat, my woman would have been living in an abyss of suffering. Hearing Yi Hua's words, some people became stupefied. One felt that Donghuang Baiji was so blessed to have a man who loved her so deeply. Meanwhile, Donghuang Baiji wanted to curse out in her heart. Heroic feat, I was carelessly tricked by you for the first time, and you call that heroic feat? You are lying through your teeth. Donghuang Fei wrinkled his brows. Being controlled by someone. I really don't know about that. After all, those are the secrets of the higher-ups. What? You aren't going to say it? Yi Hua asked coldly. I don't know either. Baiji, transform and show him. Donghuang Fei hurriedly said, wait a minute, don't get agitated, let's talk things out. Go ahead and say it then. Donghuang Baiji was very curious too. At this moment, Donghuang Qingru came over with a cup of tea. After the tea was served, Donghuang Qingru stood at the side and seemed like she was going to sit down. You go out and keep watch. Donghuang Qingru went into a daze for a moment, then expressed that I also want to know this kind of gossip. Thus, she directly looked towards Yi Hua. Yi Hua ignored him. The latter felt helpless. This person was burning the bridge after crossing it. He wasn't even willing to share gossip. After Donghuang Qingru left, Donghuang Fei took a sip of tea. Do you really want to know? If you are truly pure, do you know how big of an impression this will have? Donghuang Fei asked in a deep voice. Yi Hua was instantly in a bad mood, and said eerily, what does this have to do with me? If you've done something wrong, stand at attention. You are really unreasonable. Right now, the 9 states and 5 seas are all peaceful because of the checks and balances of the powerful clan heads. Once something happens, the checks and balances will be broken. When that time comes, the people will be plunged into misery and suffering. Are you going to turn the entire world into hell for your personal gain? Yi Hua and Donghuang Baiji went into a daze. Is it that serious? Who are you kidding? Yi Hua snorted coldly. Do you think that I will believe you just because you said that? The Eastern royal clan is the leader of all the clans. If there's any negative news, it would be a disgrace to the entire clan. It would also be a devastating blow to the Eastern royal clan. Don't tell me you want to take over a clan that has suffered a blow. After hearing that, Yi Hua asked gravely, tell me right now, what exactly is the matter that caused the Eastern royal clan to suffer such a disgrace? Sigh, why do you have to be so stubborn? Qing Su, open his mouth for me. Yi Hua couldn't take it anymore. This fellow is asking for a beating. End of this chapter. Chapter 1233. Qing Su had a dazed look on his face, as if he had fallen into a memory. This made Yi Hua a bit awkward. I asked you to make a move, and this is your expression. However, Donghuang Fei seemed to be shocked. I know that these people aren't easy to deal with, but I can't let anything happen to them in my territory. Actually, this is just a legend. As for the truth, I am not very clear about it either. Donghuang Fei was a bit scared. His intuition told him that only by being scared would he be safe. This was similar to Donghuang Qingru. If they were to cower, they would be able to see the world. Speak. Yi Hua was very curious about what exactly was going on. Donghuang Baiji also wanted to know. No matter if it was a legend or not, she still wanted to know. Donghuang Fei let out a light sigh. Since you all want to know, I will speak about it. However, I still hope that you all don't implicate me. I naturally won't implicate you. Yi Hua said indifferently. As for what other people were thinking, he didn't know. Donghuang Fei was thinking in his heart, I don't believe you all look like the type that doesn't keep your promises. This matter has to start from a very long time ago. At that time, I was still the head guard of the rear courtyard. Donghuang Fei said solemnly. Yi Hua nodded his head. The rear courtyard is not bad, it is much more interesting than the front courtyard. Donghuang Fei said seriously, indeed, the rear courtyard is more important. Let's get to the main point, stop talking about the front courtyard and the rear courtyard. Yi Hua said in a low voice. Isn't this what you're talking about? Donghuang Baiji couldn't take it anymore. Can you all stop talking about the front courtyard and the rear courtyard? Yi Hua leaned on the chair, took out a cigarette, and lit it up. Donghuang Fei could feel that Donghuang Baiji's aura was indeed very pure. Miss Baiji, please calm down. Donghuang Fei had to calm down Donghuang Baiji. If someone were to discover this aura, they would be in big trouble. TMD. Are you going to speak or not? Yi Hua couldn't take it anymore. Just what is going on? You've been talking nonsense for half a day. Speak, be quiet for a bit, let me recall properly. Can you all not be so noisy? At this moment, Qing Su couldn't take it anymore and said. It must be said that everyone present was very annoyed. Yi Hua, who was annoyed, his gaze turned cold. Qing Su. The latter pursed his lips and did not say anything. From the looks of it, the current Yi Hua is able to intimidate Qing Su. At the very least, Qing Su won't talk back. From the looks of it, in Qing Su's subconsciousness, Qing Su has begun to acknowledge Yi Hua's memories. Donghuang Fei pursed his lips. I have no choice but to say it. I advise you to speak the truth, if not. Yi Hua gave a stern warning. Donghuang Fei was furious. How many years have I been a floor manager? He was actually being threatened today. Moreover, I was threatened in my own territory. If it wasn't for that woman, I wouldn't have such a bad temper. This matter has to start from a very long time ago. At that time, I was still the head of the rear courtyard guards. Yi Hua couldn't help but say, "You have already said this sentence just now." Yi Hua. Can you not interrupt others? Yi Hua, yeah, don't interrupt me and mess up my memory. Alright, continue speaking. Yi Hua said gravely. Yi Hua's mood was a bit bad. However, Dong Huang Fei continued speaking, "This matter has to start from a very long time ago. At that time, I was still the head of the rear courtyard guards. In the entire Dong Huang family, there were two outstanding people. These two people were the legitimate descendants of the family, and the position of the family head would definitely be given to one of them." Hearing till here, Yi Hua understood that the plot of the story should be that the two people were fighting for the position of the family head, and then, one of them was framed. And that framed person should be on Dong Huang Baiji's side. Dong Huang Baiji seemed to be thinking the same thing as well. Qing Su, who had a dull look on his face, seemed to have started listening to the story as well. Even Dong Huang Qingru, who was standing outside, was eavesdropping on the story. These two people, one of them is called Dong Huang Shini, and the other one is the current family head, Dong Huang Jishang. Yi Hua looked towards Dong Huang Baiji, indicating that she should be related to that Dong Huang Shini. Perhaps, she might be his descendant, but as for how many generations, Yi Hua wasn't sure. Back then, when the two of them fought for the position of the family master, it caused a huge commotion. In the end, Dong Huang Jishang obtained the position of the family master, and Dong Huang Shin Yi went missing. That's all. After Dong Huang Fei finished speaking, he heaved a sigh of relief. That's all? Yi Hua asked in confusion. That's all. Dong Huang Fei said seriously. F***ck me. Qing Su, get him. All right. Qing Su also couldn't help but want to do it. He was simply whetting his appetite and didn't say a single word about the main point. Wait. Dong Huang Fei said hurriedly. This damned fatty looks just like an ordinary person, but I have a feeling that this fellow's gaze. No, I can't see his eyes at all, but I keep on feeling that this fellow is very evil. Speak. What exactly happened in between? Qing Su angrily asked. He hated it when people didn't finish their sentences. Dong Huang Fei tightly furrowed his brows. This fat brother, you really can't say this. This is a scandal. I will die if I say it out loud. You're not telling me. I'm going to die now. Qing Su was not afraid at all. Yi Hua nodded his head. Indeed, if you don't tell me, you are going to die now. Dong Huang Fei felt that there were two gods sitting in front of him. Although the fatty looked just like an ordinary person, the imposing manner he gave off was simply even more ferocious than the family head. This imposing manner couldn't be faked. Without accumulating it for a long time, it was impossible to achieve it. That's right. Dong Huang Baiji added. Yi Hua rubbed onto Dong Huang Baiji's head. That's right. Dong Huang Fei was very helpless as he said in a low voice, "Don't tell anyone, I am the one who told you all about this. You all are using your lives to threaten me." Yi Hua has never seen such a cowardly person before. Aren't you known as the floor manager? Are you all this cowardly? First of all, I have to declare my position. Whether or not this matter is true or false, you all can only use it as a reference. Dong Huang Fei paused for a moment, then continued, I only heard that the current family head cuckolded Dong Huang Shini. Yi Hua, Dong Huang Baiji, Qing Su. This gossip is too fierce. Cuckolding someone, this is simply the most ferocious revenge. You all don't have to look at me like this, there is no evidence for this. Dong Huang Fei hurriedly added. Yihua asked curiously, are the two of them blood-related brothers? Dong Huangfei nodded his head, that's right, the current family head is the younger brother. Awesome! The younger brother cuckolded the older brother, and the older brother disappeared in the end. Then, Dong Huangbaiji, Yihua looked at Dong Huangbaiji blankly. Could it be, Dong Huangbaiji was also a bit stupefied right now. If this is really the case, then I am the descendant of the current family head. Dong Huangbaiji was a bit unable to accept this. I want to be alone. After finished speaking, Dong Huangbaiji walked out of the hole. End of this chapter. Chapter 1234. Dong Huang Qingru, who was standing outside, was also stupefied. The current family head, Dong Huang Jishang, cuckolded his own brother. If this matter were to be known by the people of the 9 provinces and 5 seas, the Dong Huang family would become a laughing stock. No wonder the level manager is so cautious, something big is going to happen. Yihua didn't chase after them. Right now, Dong Huangbaiji indeed needs to calm down. I came here to cause trouble and act cool, but in the end, it became a family search. Then, what should Dong Huangbaiji call the current family head? According to what Dong Huangbaiji said, his father had already passed away, perhaps he should be called Grandpa. Fortunately, it's not his father, that would be so awkward. Yihua didn't know how to comfort his wife right now. If I knew that there would be such a trap, I should have come here first to check things out. How can the Empress accept this? If it was me, I would also be at a loss. Speaking of which, I have never seen the Empress's father before. According to Dong Huangbaiji, the Empress's father seemed to have died from anger. How tough is the life of the Dong Huang family, how can they die from anger? There seems to be something fishy about this. Not right. This doesn't feel right. Perhaps, this family head is Dong Huangbaiji's father. If I were to deal with this matter, I would definitely hand my daughter over to the person I trust the most to prevent her from being implicated. This makes sense. My deduction is very likely to be true. If that's the case, that marquis should be the person who is secretly helping the Empress, hiding Dong Huangbaiji on Earth to prevent her from being discovered. I am truly a genius. Actually, I haven't finished speaking. Dong Huangfei said embarrassedly. Yihua and Qing Su went into a daze. Dong Huangfei could be heard continuing, according to the rumors, Dong Huangshani was cuckolded first, that's why the current family head took revenge. Yihua, Qing Su, Do Fusher, who was at the side, didn't even hear what Dong Huangfei said. As for Wan, she was already shocked. I didn't expect that there would be such a scandal within a big family. If this kind of news were to be leaked out, the Dong Huang family's reputation would definitely be gone. It would only become a joke after a meal. When Yihua heard what Dong Huangbaiji said, he immediately overturned his previous conjecture. Just whose descendant is Dong Huangbaiji? This will forever be a mystery. Fortunately, Dong Huangbaiji walked out of the room. If she had heard what Yihua said just now, she would have definitely fainted. Now, there was only Bodhisattva's blessing. This was not at the level of a father. Otherwise, it would be really awkward. Are there any more? Yihua asked curiously. This Dong Huang family is too chaotic, I hope that this rumor is false. There is one more thing. Dong Huangfei said solemnly. What is it? Qing Su asked immediately. Yihua glared at him fiercely. As a subordinate, you shouldn't talk too much. Qing Su pursed his lips and remained silent. What is it? Dong Huangfei looked at the surroundings and said in a low voice, at that time, none of them had a wife or fiancé. Right now, Yihua was a bit confused. It was the same for Qing Su. Damn, is it asexual reproduction? With just a single sentence, this fellow had completely overturned all of Yi Hua's previous plans. Right now, Yi Hua was completely unable to understand what was going on. However, this aroused Yi Hua's desire to know the inside story even more. Where's the family head? I'll go and pout my lips. Qing Su said solemnly. He had to know the inside story. Yi Hua did not say anything. I indeed need to know the inside story, my woman. Which side were they on? Don't get too excited. Recently, the Eastern Emperor clan is organizing a youth competition. If you guys were to directly cause trouble, the consequences would be dire. Have you heard of the Immortal Shrine? Dong Huang Fei said solemnly. Yi Hua went into a daze, then looked towards Wan Wan. Wan Wan felt guilty. Qing Su also knew that this indestructible shrine was really that strong. Even the Donghuang clan was afraid of him. I have heard of it, what about it? Yi Hua asked curiously. Donghuang Fei said solemnly, this palace master has been suppressed by the patriarchs of several big clans, that's why he has been peaceful for thousands of years. Recently, this group of people has been acting strangely again, I'm afraid they are trying to cause trouble. So? Yi Hua asked. That's why we can't complicate the issue now. The Hall Master is afraid that if the ceiling formation disappears, it will bring about destruction. That's why he wants you guys to calm down and have a good chat. Misunderstandings can be resolved. There's no need to fight and kill each other. This palace master is so powerful. Yi Hua was a bit curious. Right now, I am lacking a strong opponent. That palace master is able to make Wei Chang betray his faction, that palace master definitely has a very terrifying strength. I really want to have a look at him. That's not right. Wasn't it said that the Hall Master was sealing it? He is indeed very powerful, he has countless experts under him. Yi Hua asked, did you just say that the Hall Master is within the seal? That's right, all of the family patriarchs will work together to reinforce the seal every month, if not, the seal will be broken. The seal is filled with the aura of all of the family patriarchs, if something were to happen to the family patriarch, the consequences. I dare not imagine. Yi Hua took a look at Qing Su, and Qing Su gave Yi Hua a look of wanting to cause trouble. As expected of my subordinate, you never forget to cause trouble. I can let this evil out to play with, I want to let Wei Chang see how trash the master that you chose is. When the time comes, you will kneel in front of me and repent, and I won't forgive you. What do you mean by the youngster assembly that you mentioned just now? Yi Hua asked. Oh, it means that the most outstanding disciple will be chosen from among the disciples to be groomed. Donghuang Ji will be attending as well. Yi Hua asked curiously. Of course, the number one disciple will be groomed personally by the family patriarch. Yi Hua nodded his head, then looked at Donghuang Baiji's back view and asked, can you give me an identity? You are thinking. Donghuang Fei seemed to be able to sense what Yi Hua wanted to do. I am just thinking. Donghuang Fei pondered for a moment, then nodded his head, forget it, in any case, I will be killed by you all. I will guarantee that you won't die. Yi Hua said faintly. If I want someone to die, that person will definitely die. But if I want someone to live, even if all 4 of his limbs are broken, that person will still be able to live. Really? Of course. Then, let me tell you another secret. F***ck. I suddenly don't want to protect him anymore, this is simply not trustworthy. What secret? Donghuang Fei said in a low voice, the family patriarch has an uncle. The corner of Yi Hua and Qing Su's mouth twitched slightly. Could it be that this uncle cuckolded us brothers? F***ck. How can these people be so perverted? It's not what you all think. The family patriarch's uncle is called Dongwang Ci. He is the one with the highest seniority in the entire Dongwang family, and his strength is also the strongest. You all have to be careful. I feel that Dongwang Ci is not a good person. Dongwang Fei warned. Yihua felt that he had gained a lot from this trip. Now, it is time for me to display my strength. Let everyone fear the power of the deity. Tremble in fear. End of chapter. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.